Hey, this is the Innovator's Mindset with Dr. Sara and Dr. Jennifer. Let's go. The music and everything. Listen, I am so pumped to join Dr. Jennifer Prince, Dr. Sara Najarro in Glendora Unified. This is coming up in California, and it's on October 13th, which thank goodness you emailed me because I actually had it the day after. So you're like, this guy is going to talk to us about, learning and doesn't know how to run his own calendar. So gladly we figured this out. But I'm excited to join you all in Glendora and, learn about some of the great things that are happening in your school district as well. So what we're going to do, because there's three of us in this podcast, I'm going to actually start with Sara. Sara, if you can just kind of introduce yourself, tell us what you do today, how you got there. Great place to start.
Hi, I'm Sara Najarro. I'm Executive Director of Teaching, Learning, and Accountability here in Glendora. And how I got here? Oh boy, I've been here in Glendora for a long time, 15 years here in
Wow.
Glendora. Been elementary principal for over 20 years before that, and been a district office now for 4 years and loving every minute of it.
Okay,
Loving to
I gotta ask you this: like, how was the
here.
transition from principal to central office? How's that gone for you? Do you love it? Like, it was a hard transition for me because I really miss the kids,
Yeah.
right? So,
And the first year was a bit challenging. I missed my school site dearly, but now that I've been here for a few years, I love it and couldn't be any happier being able to support everybody, from all of our principals to everybody here being able to do what anybody needs of me. So it took a little while, but now I'm really happy.
I love it. And Dr. Jennifer Prince, and I did have to say you're wearing purple, and your last name's Prince. I'm a big Prince fan. It's like my first movie ever was what Purple Rain was like my first favorite movie of all time. So
Old school.
it is old school. So, Dr. Prince, what do you do today in Glendora Schools?
I am the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, and I've done that for a couple of years now. Before that, I was over in Sarah's job in curriculum and instruction. And before that, I was a middle school principal and assistant principal, and of course taught for a long time before that too. Taught middle school and elementary.
All right. And so when we got on here, we're kind of like doing some planning for the day. I'm really excited and I'm going to tell you this. So Sara and Jennifer right away. So you all had an opening day. You said it was awesome. You said it was amazing. You're like, better be good. So made me competitive right away. So tell me like tell me about the start of your year. I'll start with you, Jennifer. Like what was the theme, of the year that you're going in? What's some stuff that you're working on right now? And like, I heard it was awesome. So I know, so I better not screw it up in October. So I'm really looking forward to it. So tell me kind of like how's the start of the year been in Glendora so far?
It's been really good so far. So we
I
started off.
know, I
Yes,
know, I heard.
I know it has. See, and now you have to beat it.
Yeah.
We started off with Molly Gershon. We talked about just like the connections and building bridges, being there for each other, for our students, and really our focus for the year is best first instruction. So our staff have been looking at whether that's like science of reading or restorative practices or trauma-informed instruction, leveraging AI, just looking at how we provide that best first instruction for every student in every classroom.
I love that. And so, Sara, what kind of stuck out to you so far? Like, what has stuck out to you, in the work that's happening in Glendora and I know like you've been there for a long time. You've been there 15 years, which is like a record to be in the same district, right? And so, like, just from this year, what are some of the things that you're seeing happening already in classrooms?
I think one of the most positive things I've seen in the classroom is the teachers' commitment to taking what they've been learning or what they discussed on the first days of school and committing to doing that throughout the year, committing to their own professional learning. So we had, from the first day, we've expanded those into our Educator Effectiveness Academy. So it wasn't just a one and done the first days. They're continuing that throughout the year, but their commitment to saying, these are things that I can do, and this is what I can expand on in my own learning and commit to doing in the classrooms. And they're doing it, they're connecting with kids, and they're building those relationships with their colleagues to expand their own learning, and then building the relationships with their students. And that we know is so important, to connect with their students, to continue to grow in their classrooms. And it's been really wonderful to see teachers building those classroom communities in order to take what they're learning and do it in the classrooms.
So that I think that's like, for me, one of the best things you can do as a teacher is continuously learn and grow, right? Because then you have a real good understanding of, different opportunities, different ways of learning that we can have. If you don't understand it, if you like lose touch with learning, you probably, should no longer teach. But, one of the reasons I wanted to have you all on the podcast, just kind of learn about your school, some of the things that you're doing. And you said this, I've never heard, and maybe, I don't know if this is a Glendora thing or it's something you've learned from other people. What is the Educator Effectiveness Academy? What is that? Like, give me because someone's heard that and they're like, what is that? Right? I guarantee you listen to that podcast. Like, what is that, what you're doing? Like, and either one of you can take that question because I'm really curious on what that looks like.
Well, the reason we called them Educator Effectiveness Academies is because in California, we had a grant monies called Educator Effectiveness Grant. And
Right.
So we were able to compensate our teachers with some extra pay for their professional learning. But the grant money, of course, has an ending date
Right.
to it. So we called our academies Educator Effectiveness Academies to connect with our grant money so that when we use the funding for that, we would be really clear that when we continue to have academies, that if we couldn't unfortunately pay our teachers with that funding, that's what the funding would run out. It was connected to the title.
Oh no! Is this a touchy subject that I hit on?
Yeah. Well, sometimes we're unable to. We want to provide. We want to compensate teachers because we know how important it is when teachers are working after hours. We honor that. We know how much hard work teachers do, and we know how hard it is to work after their contract hours. But we're not always able to do that. So this allowed us to do that, and we were really happy to be able to do that. So we named our academies after the funding that went with them.
Awesome.
And the cool thing about the academies too, is it really digs deeper into what we started at the beginning of the year. So many times you have professional learning and you're like, oh yeah, that was awesome. And then you get into the daily life and it falls away and it was a one and done thing.
Right.
The Educator Effectiveness Academies were designed to dig deeper into what they were doing. So we offered the intro to the science of reading, and then you could choose to do the Educator Effectiveness Academy, get some extra money for doing it, but it digs really deep into the science of reading or into restorative practices. And that way it kind of spirals that and lets us build our internal experts with something they're passionate about.
So when I know we talked about this, by the way, and for those in Glendora, we were talking about, I made them talk about this. I was like, I've grown up a huge Lakers fan. Like all my dogs have been named after Lakers. Like I know Southern California very, very well. So I'm from the Magic Kareem days. Like that's when I really started getting into it. But I'm originally from a small town in Canada, and being in Alberta, Canada, one of the things that we had, and it sounds very similar to what you're doing. I can't remember the exact name, but it was really a research and development initiative, and really gave people to dig into some of these things. And if you actually looked at the results of schools at the time that we had access to that, Alberta schools in the world were actually really leading the way because there's so much, opportunity given for teachers to really learn, to dig into stuff. So I think it's just an awesome thing. And I know it's been proven it was actually called the Alberta, I know this is Canada stuff, Alberta Initiative for School Improvement, but it was really similar to, just a different name, but really focused on what you're doing. So I love that you're doing that. And one of the things I will talk about is, this is something really adamant about, is I really believe when you're in that space, in education, when you're in a classroom, you should be totally present in that room. But when you're home, you should be home, right? And I love that you're really honoring that in some of the work that you're doing. Now, we talked a little bit about the day that I'm working with you all, and I'm going to kind of put myself on the spot because this is now being recorded. But if you don't hear this, then you'll never know what was said. But what is your hopes for me on that day with your staff? And I know I think this is really important for me. I know you already got some really great things going on, and I'm hoping to help that. I don't ever go into a place trying to fix it or whatever. And I hope that trying to model what you're asking of your teachers. I really want to learn from you all too, in that space. And there's different ways I'll do that. But what is your hope for me when I join you all on that date on October 13th, which is a Monday, not a Friday? Other than this guy can organize his calendar. So what's the hope? And I'll start with you, Jennifer. What do you hope happens on that day to kind of, build on what you're already doing that is really great in your schools?
Yeah, so something that I've seen you a couple times before, and everything that the connection, how we connect to our kids through, whether it's through the curriculum or that emotional connection. But I loved how you were constantly talking about that MTSS, that you get it from all levels. You build the connections and then you do the rigorous instruction. So talking about that, because that's really been a lot of our focus on MTSS. But also a big thing, and Sara mentioned this earlier, is having them walk away with actionable things, because they're going to go back to their staff in the afternoon and they're going to collaborate and reflect and talk about, okay, how do I put this in place in my role, whether it's in the classroom or an instructional aide supporting the teacher in that classroom, but having them come away with actionable things that they're excited to put in place the next day.
Yeah, and I will tell you before we ask that question of Sara, one of the things that I really appreciate about you all is you put your trust in bringing me in. I'm like, hey, here's what I would do to kind of set this up. And you're like, just kind of, okay, like we're bringing you in. So there's that trust. And I think that's really important, no matter your role. But as you're saying, Jennifer, it is to really get to know who's in front of me, even if it's only for a short amount of time, so I can do what's best. Or not necessarily what's best, but I can help the best way that I know based on who I'm serving that day. And I think that really matters to me. I don't want to just do whatever, right? Like I want to really kind of get to know who's in front of me, kind of connect as well. So I really appreciate the trust that you have in me. And so I'm glad that you've seen me before. So I try my best to do that, but every time is, meant to be different because the people I'm talking to are different every single time. So I think that really matters. So Sara, I'll turn it over to you. What is your hopes for me on that day to really help serve your schools?
Well, I think obviously the energy that you bring, so that it brings that to our staff as well, and that when they feel that they can be innovative as well in using what they have and the tools that they have to bring that back and work with their colleagues to make that commitment. And talk when they go back to their staffs and say, this is what we're going to do. This is our strengths. And let's work together as teams in whether it be their departments or their grade levels, and say, this is what we're committed to doing. And how can we work together collaboratively to bring our strengths back to our students and be committed to doing our best for our students. I think that's really important to build on their own strengths as educators to do what's best for our students.
I'm listening to you, and this is why I really connect with you too. And I think that really matters a lot of times. And I just so appreciate you said this. A lot of times people are like, hey, we're struggling with this. We're this thing is a really hard thing. And you're sitting here like, hey, we really want to accentuate the things that we're already good at. And I think a lot of times, even think of sometimes with MTSS, people will come together and say, hey, this kid sucks at this. And it's like, well, how good is that kid going to be if you constantly tell them they suck at something? Really focus on what they're really good at and start there. And it's not about, and I always say this, it's not about ignoring weaknesses. It's just about starting with strengths, because it's really important that people feel valued. And I think, as we're kind of planning this day, that is the whole thing, is really, how do we really ensure people feel valued, tap into what's already going well, but then hopefully they, see the opportunities as the experts to really kind of take it to the next level. Okay, so this is the last question I got you, because we just want to kind of really say this, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. So we're talking sports, and you're neither really big basketball fans. I'm going to out you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
You're a football fan, and you're a fan of a team on the other side of the country. You're a Buffalo Bills fan.
But hear me out on this.
What is going on here?
Anybody who has met me knows I am all about heart and connection, and what other team has heart and connection like the Bills Mafia? It is
obviously none of the LA football teams, right? Obviously.
Yeah, sorry about that. Chargers, I can root for them as long as they're not playing the Bills.
Right.
But the Bills have my heart. Sorry.
Right. And okay. And
And,
Sarah,
and not really, sorry, actually. I love
Sarah,
them.
you didn't really give me an answer. I don't know your team. You just kind of said, I just love football. Like basically just whatever. So like
It's
who's your
anything
team?
about football, anything where my boys are playing football.
I love that.
It's just the game of football. Right now, it's just about football in general. Yeah, it's just all football.
Okay, so when I start bringing up all the basketball stuff, you're just gonna be like, oh, come on, guy. Talk
It's
about
football.
football
There's
here.
only one sport, and it's
Yeah,
football.
you know, LA is super known for football.
Yeah.
Southern California is like a big football. I know USC, Reggie Bush, all that stuff. I got it. But listen, I forced both of you to jump on my podcast because I thought it's way better to hear from you about the amazing things that are happening in Glendora than, to anything I can send to your staff. So I cannot wait to be there on a Monday, not a Friday. That would have been the most awkward day of my life. Thanks for reminding me of the day. So I'm pumped thanks for taking your time, because I know you're super busy, by the way. And so having your time with me, I'm really looking forward to seeing your people, seeing you all. So thanks everyone for listening. Glendora, I can't wait to see you all. And Jennifer, Sarah, thanks for being on the podcast. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.